Good morning, my friends. I have something really, really vitally important to share with you today. So important. Have you been sexually abused? Do you have any trauma surrounding that? 3 separate events in the last 48 hours have come to my attention. And in each one, there is one thing that would change it. I'm going to be talking about that today. What can we do to change that statistic? You don't want your kids being the abusers. You don't want your kids being the abused. You also need to protect yourself, but it may not be in the way that you think. Or you may. I don't know. But it's super, super, super important. Super important. So I'm Ann Ferguson. This is a live walk and talk that I do. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I am a mom. I am a grandma. I am passionate. I'm an emotional resilience and regulation specialist and a mindset coach. And so many times, abuse is something that we have to get our brain wrapped around and heal from, right? There's one thing that can change it. So that is our quest today to unravel. Just know that there are some events that have happened. So the one thing in all of these is about consent. In one situation, no, let me go this way. It's a tough subject, right? I don't want to violate anybody. I will tell you, I had a conversation, we'll do this. I had a conversation with my son. This is what I really want to get to. I had a conversation with my son last night. He's 20 years old. Doesn't date. Goes to school. Goes to work. So great. Anyway, I came down to him and I said, son, we need to have a serious talk. And I said, you are not in trouble, but as a mom, this one's important. So he turned off the TV and looked at me. And I said, son, 3 instances of people having physical boundaries crossed, and it has caused some major issues. One was sexually abused in the marriage. And another is a mom and a daughter, 2 different situations. And I said, son, I need you to know this. Statistically, 86% of women have experienced some kind of boundary crossing in this arena. And I said, dude, what that means to you is you're going to have to assume that anybody you date has got that trauma. Anyone. He kind of looked at me with wide eyes and I go, I know, but it's true. You can be part of the 1% who is not perpetrating this. And I'm talking innocent kids who don't even know they're a perpetrator. They don't even know. Why? This is what I told my son. Hey, you know those romantic things on TV, all the romantic scenes? It's, the girl's really nervous and the guy's like, look, I'm safe. Come here. And they just kind of slides over and the hand just kind of slips in and there's like no talk. And pretty soon there's like arm around each other. And then we've got a full-on scene where she just melts into his arms. You know what that's teaching our men, our boys? Teaching them that they're the ones that can hero this. If a girl's scared, they just don't trust them yet. And so they're going to just kind of slide in, just kind of show the trust. So wrong. So that's why I told my son, what this looks like is you need to read the body signals of whoever you're with, my friend. So if you have a girl over and you're watching movies and she is sitting with her knees up and her arms around her knees, although she's talking and laughing and being completely fine, her body language is saying, I don't feel safe right now. And guess what? She's not. Guess why? Because you're a boy. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. That may feel like I'm being really, really pigeonholing. I'm not saying all, but 86% of women have experienced this. So guys, women, hands up for the Me Too moment where guy seems really nice, but you are so not willing to open much up because you don't know if he can handle his own shiz or not. Right? So I said, dude, what you do right there is that you check in and you ask consent. Okay, so hey, you look really uncomfortable right now. Is everything okay? She goes, yeah. Would you rather not watch a movie in the dark? Would you rather me turn the lights on? Would you rather, us just go outside and talk for a minute? Like, what do you need? Okay, we need to teach our boys. I'm going to go more into this, but we need to teach our boys that they need to make a woman feel safe from them. How do you do that? Don't assume anything. Do not move without consent. So, brand new kind of dating situation. Want to get a little closer, want to move it to the next level, if you will. Hey, how do you feel about me taking your hand? Guys, if you were to have that, the girl would go, huh. I mean, they're actually asking permission. And if we teach our girls, check in with yourself. Do you feel comfortable right now holding hands? And if you don't, you totally have the right to say no. And here's the big thing. Everybody listen up. You are not responsible for making the other person feel bad. I hear this all the time. Well, I didn't want to make him feel bad. And he was just being nice. He was just putting his arm around me. I didn't want to make him feel bad. He hadn't done anything. And then, the next thing you know, there's a hand on the inner thigh to somebody who has experienced sexual trauma, and the whole body goes into freeze mode. And then it takes a week to process out what happened, even though lots and lots of trauma therapy, even though they've gone through all the things to heal things up. If consent is there, then hey, how do you feel about kind of snuggling in while we watch this movie? Just right there, nothing else. Are you okay with that? And then keeping that boundary and that word. What would it would be like? Guys, our sons don't know that putting their arms around or rubbing shoulders or anything, they don't know that in this day and age, they could be crossing a physical problem. They don't know that they're the ones that are triggering anything. We've got to teach our kids. So I told Jaden every single thing, dude, and from day to day, hey, would you like a hug? How do you feel about me putting my arm around you? Are you okay? And if that's just kind of the norm, then, like I said, giving our women permission to go, you know what? I am not feeling you today. Because, there's been no actual emotional connection between me and you. So I'm not feeling safe because you don't even know what's going on with me. So that's a no for me today. And to be able to have a woman say that without making them feel bad, shoot, man. This is in that dating arena. I also told Jaden, and forever, and ever and ever, even in your marriage, consent. Not coercion, not guilt, not shame, not manipulation. Not has to be this many times or you're not a good wife. None of that. You being a man means that you know what to do with your own stuff. And if you are feeling all of the stuff and she says no, don't you ever make her wrong. And you have got to know what to do to bring yourself back down, because it's not her job. Not her job. I'm teaching my son this. This conversation needs to happen no matter what age. No matter what age. If some of the people that I dealt with, if their sons had been taught that, these are good, in general, good kids, good people, don't know what's wrong. Why isn't it working? It's because we're conditioned. By the way, same thing goes for pics. No consent. Here's a pic of me. What the shiz is that? Even if it's strategic so that you don't really see anything. Just having a pic sent? No. Absolute crossing the boundaries. I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care what, no. No. Consent. If that's your jam, I'd like to. Are you open to receiving? Be adults. Do what you do. Consent in all areas. Now, this actually goes into, ready, emotional stuff too. Hey, I have something deep I'd like to talk to you about. Are you open to that? Instead of just leaning in to all the stuff. Hey, I've got, I need somebody to hold my ponytail because I need emotional involvement. I feel like I'm just going to explode. Are you available? Are you okay? Instead of going, I assume because you are the person that I am around and married to or in relationship with, that you are just supposed to always handle all of my stuff at all times. And that's how you show up for me. What about consent? Hey, are you in a place to hear me? Can you let me know? I got some big stuff. I've journaled it out so that I know, but I just feel like I need to be witnessed. So, how do you feel about that? Can we have some time in the evening where I can just kind of let this stuff out? That's consent, women, for our husbands. Even to say, I'm stinging right now, and I don't actually want to have the conversation that will resolve this right in this moment because I'm not in that place. So I teach my students that that is like a level 4 spin. When you're in a level 4 spin, your body has taken over, your emotions are deregulated, and you cannot think. You're just in a spin. The only thing to do in that is to get your body back into regulation. Go for a run. I had something yesterday that took me into a level 4 spin right before a really good and powerful business meeting. And I actually laid down on the floor and did 15 minutes of just deep breathing, holding, letting out and holding to get me back into my body so that I could think. Because the emotional charge had got to the point that I wasn't thinking anymore. We need to know how to regulate our own bodies, our own emotions, and our own physical responses. We are responsible for those things. Nobody else is responsible. So that if we are in relation with somebody, we can ask for consent. Hey, I can handle my own stuff. I'd really love support. Hey, I can handle my own stuff. I'd really like some physical closeness. Are you in? Are you not? Hey, I can handle my own stuff. I feel distant right now, so I'm going to claim that, come back to you later and kind of explain. Consent, 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 consent. I want you to think about how often we do this. Now, the way to really teach this is not just have that conversation, but if you as a parent are not having that conversation, I didn't until last night. I am not condemning you. I am realizing how vital it is. I never want my son to be the trigger to somebody else's abuse, that their body freaks out. So in one of the situations that I dealt with, we got to the point where I said, okay, so if you could go back And the answer was, no, 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 no. I can't even process what I would do differently. And I was like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. If you could go back and it be handled appropriately, you are still in the position with knees up and arms around the knees. You are still trying to be brave and not weird, if you will, because that's what she called herself, and trying to be, quote, normal, right? If you were in that position, still really trying to engage and be nice, but your body was closing up, what do you wish he had done? What would be the appropriate thing? She goes, oh, I can do that. Oh my gosh, yes. And what she found was that there was a dating relationship where that happened prior to her abuse, where she was just kind of cautious, and the person who she was with actually read that and said, hey, it looks like you're a little uncomfortable. Is there anything I can do? Do we need to move? Whatever. And it was so beautiful because I was able to say, look, your body has experienced abuse. It is true. And it's responding and protecting you so that you know that things are not okay. That's what the meltdown is. That's what the freeze is. That's what the pounding of the heart, that's just protection. And your body also knows what it feels like to be honored. It knows what it feels like to grant consent, to have a moment to consider without guilt or shame. Whatever she said in the moment with this other person would have been okay, because that's how he presented it. Look, I'm here to actually make you safe, not make you feel safe. I'm here to bring safety into your space and let you know that it's okay to go at your pace in your opening up to me. How cool is that? So when we're able to talk about that, look, that's in your body too. Let's just re-envision this with that going down, because otherwise she could program her brain that that is how all dating experiences are going to be. I don't want my son to be so dense that he doesn't know that consent is how you treat a woman. Have that conversation. Have it, and then start practicing it. This is what that looks like. Hey, I'm a grandma. Hey, give me a hug before you leave. No, I don't want to. In my generation, it would be, no, 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 just hug your grandma. Like, just give her some love and hug her. This was what I was raised with. And then my granddaughter, I think she's about 3 years old, maybe even 2, who refused to hug. And I kind of looked at her mom, and my daughter brilliantly, so brilliantly said, Mom, I've given her the right to refuse physical contact if she wants to. If she says no, it's a no. At 2 years old, my granddaughter is learning that it's okay, that forced physical affection she can say no to. Isn't that so cool? So I have to model that with her. Hey, you want to give me a hug? And if she does, I'll take it. And if she doesn't, I'm totally good. And that can change from moment to moment. What my generation does is gets all fussy and upset and says, yeah, but I'm safe. I'm her grandma. Okay, so is Uncle so-and-so and Grandpa Joe. Can you see how that teaching that they have the right to refuse from a very, very early age keeps this thing from continuing? So another thing, instead of get over here, brush your hair. Hey, so your hair needs to be done. Can I use this brush or do you want to use that brush? So that there's an opening. Now, I know, mamas, I know. You got to get them ready. I know, you got to start earlier. And I know how embarrassing it is when they look to all disheveled. Looks like you didn't do anything. And I also know that emotionally, they are so much better off if you haven't forced them to get their hair done. Instead, while they're sitting around watching TV laying on your lap, saying, hey, is it okay if I play with your hair? and have that emotion and that feeling just be really safe of playing with your hair. Hey, I'd like to make your hair pretty. Can you come here? So that the body actually likes that thing, instead of every single time have to get ready to get the hair done because we got to go somewhere. And that is the physical sensation, is the rush and the hurry and the duty instead of the love. I'm guilty. Totally guilty of that. And there have been some kids that I've been able to play with their hair and it's been fantastic. They let me. And that's the big deal. How about you? Let's do consent with you for a minute. Giving yourself permission to say no. I'm not feeling comfortable. That's a no for me. And even if the other person gets upset, let them handle their own stuff, not yours. Own your stuff. That's a no for me. Or this is a big fat yes for me. I am so open. Big fat yes. How cool is that? Like if we start honoring what we need. So, in one of the situations, I don't know how to do this. It's an important point because this person owned what they and their body were doing in any given moment. So it was, she was being held and the neck got all clunky and weird. So rather than sitting there in pain, she adjusted, and her body was going through a trauma response as she was explaining what had happened. And the person comforting her started rubbing her back. And this was a safe, like I invite you to understand what went on with me. It's a very safe relationship. But she said, can you just not touch me right now? Like I just don't want to be touched right now. Honoring. She got honored. Absolutely. That's okay for you to say don't touch. Even though I'm here from support, what feels good to you right now? That heals. That says I have permission to enjoy this touch. I have permission to enjoy the experience. And if I'm not enjoying it, I have permission within myself and responsibility. That's where the responsibility is. I have responsibility for going, my body's actually freaking out about this. And rather than making my body wrong for having a response, I'm just going to honor that and say, right now in this moment, no. Why? Because your body needs your voice. Your voice. You showing up for you. You knowing that you can say, yeah, that doesn't feel good for me right now. Or, yes, that feels great for me right now. Trusting you is where the healing comes. That's where it changes. It's not about trusting somebody else. I got a fun fact for y'all. I don't trust anybody. And I am not a distrustful person. I trust my gut above all other things. And even if I don't understand it, and even if I've been conditioned that it's silly and it's too emotional and overreactive, I go, don't care. I gotta unpack something and find out why I'm emotional. Nope, this doesn't feel good to me. I'm still learning that, but in general, I've gotten pretty good at it. I don't trust anybody, and I don't need to. Because if there is a bell and whistle going off, I am going to listen to my bell and whistle. And that is always around. And I am always kept safe if I listen. And if somebody feels bad, then they need to check in about why they feel bad that somebody said no to them. Not your business. It's totally okay. Can you imagine a world for a minute where every interaction, there's permission? Like, I love it at the grocery store. It's really simple. I love it when the people at the grocery store say, would you like paper or plastic? I get to choose in to how I want to carry my groceries. Sometimes the paper is a really good option. And sometimes I'm running out and going to be out and around, and the paper, it's awkward. I need the plastic, and I get to choose that. That's permission, that's consent. Instead of just going, I know what's best for you, so I'm just going to do this thing, and you're going to like paper no matter what. Doesn't it feel good? Right? Little teeny tiny things with consent. Hey, do you mind if I? Are you open to? How do you feel about? What would you like? Those are all consent. If that's how we operated with each other, guys. Seen, heard, and understood. That is the primary need. My belief matters. My belief that I have a right to listen to my body. My belief that I have a right to be honored by consent. And if there is no consent, that I have the right to say, I didn't consent to this. And that's anything. Like being guilted into going to a family barbecue, I don't know, like on Memorial Day. Does that feel like consent? If it doesn't, you have the right to say no. And you can say, I love you. And I've got some things for me that I'm choosing. And I so appreciate the invitation. And I'm sorry that you're upset. And I hear that upset as you love me. And you would love me to be around. And I really appreciate that. Having the right to refuse. Having the emotional maturity to ask for consent in all things, in all places. Like little kids, hey, would you like mommy to tuck you in and give you a kiss? Or would you like mommy to sit on your bed and read you a story? How would you like to go to sleep tonight? You know, hey, it looks like your body is really, really out of whack right now when they're freaking out. Let's breathe. Would you like me to touch you? Would that help? No! Okay, just breathe. When you give permission for somebody to handle their physical responses in the way that they need to, trust. It's called emotional maturity, to be able to, when somebody says, no, I'm not in, to go, oh, whew, I feel rejected right now. Are they really rejecting me? That's an interesting thing. I'm feeling it right now. And you dealing with your own rejection, instead of going, don't say no to me because now I'm going to have to deal with feeling rejected. Your feeling of rejection is yours. It's totally yours to deal with. It's nobody's. They don't have to make you feel loved. They can't make you feel loved anyway. You could go there and then they get mad at you and they don't feel loved by you anyway. Especially if you're there like passive aggressively because you didn't want to go in the first place. You know? You're like emotionally guarded. You're showing up physically, but emotionally you're completely withdrawn. That's a thing. And it doesn't feel good emotionally to the other person. You can say, you know what? I'm not all in today. And I don't want to give you that half in, half out kind of thing. I don't want to fake it because I actually honor you way more than that. So I understand that having these conversations with people who don't know that they have the right to feel what they're feeling and they can't name what they're feeling, I know that's really rough. I will tell you, my daughter has gotten really good at saying, hey, Mom, when you say that, I feel like somewhere I'm responsible for taking care of you. I had no idea how many little teeny tiny things that I'm not actually, or am I, emotionally asking her to take care of me. I don't even know. But I love the fact that she goes, okay, so I feel like I'm responsible for you right now. And so she's able to say, hey, Mom, when you said this is what I felt. And you know, I just don't like that. Now our kids are teaching us what they need. Emotionally mature kids are speaking to us very emotionally immature adults who believe that we are not supposed to feel. Don't feel angry, don't feel hurt, don't feel... If you feel hurt, it's somebody else's fault. If you're angry, it's because somebody did something to you. If you're rejected, it's because of something else. And there's no ownership in that it's actually me. And I need to explore the why behind that to see if it's if it's really a thing or if it's something that is just in my mind because of my history. Not making yourself wrong for any of it. Not one thing. So thank you for being here and letting me feel, throw this up, if you will. I appreciate my virtual bucket holders, those of you who hold buckets. I'm going to go write about it. It's an important skill to have. It's going in my book about consent. And I love the fact that my daughter has lowered the emotional pain threshold. She's brought it down. So she is not in the same amount of emotional pain. She doesn't tolerate it the same. She's like, actually, emotionally, this doesn't feel super good. And so she's able to either check out or walk out or say, that doesn't feel good for me. And she's not blaming, and she's not condemning, and she's not criticizing. She's just owning. It is so clear and beautiful. And I'm so grateful because it's an example to me of, I can own my stuff. I can really get into what do I feel and have that be okay regardless of whether anybody else agrees with it or not. That stops abuse. And asking for consent stops unintentional abuse. I believe that there's unintentional abuse. I believe that narcissism, honestly, is unintentional. It's just really, really bad skills and thought processes. It's awful. It's awful, it's awful, it's awful. You cannot change the narcissist. You can say, that behavior is not supportive of me. I don't like it. And I would love to like you. So I'm going to step away from this because I can't like you at the same time. I have permission to just not participate in that. Lowering your emotional pain threshold. And what does that do? Increase your emotional joy threshold because you're safe, because you lean into the things that are good for you and lovely. It is not selfish. It is emotionally autonomous. And when you feel safe in your body, I got a secret for you. When you show up for you in this way, you become so much more trusting and open and loving to everyone else. Because you're not requiring anybody else to fill that bucket. It's you knowing how to hear you, knowing how to see you. It's you knowing how to show up for you. And when you do that, bam, you are totally open. It's time to lower your emotional pain threshold. And to do it in kindness and to do it in love because you're not defending yourself. I want you to hear this. The energy of defensiveness is fighting. That's not the same as defending. Defensive is fighting. Defending is, this is what I feel. And so I'm just gonna act from that. There's love in that. Can be bewilderment on the other side. They do not understand, and it doesn't make you wrong. It makes you absolutely right to show up for you. Because the people that have the ability to do this will start showing up in your life more. And you won't have to deal with those who just do emotional pain all the time. Somebody who's in a lot of emotional pain, who doesn't show up for themselves, also dishes out a lot of emotional pain. It's unintentional. And the only place it stops is not them changing their behavior. The only place it stops is you changing your threshold. And immediately acting and saying, yep, nope, that one's not good for me. Reacting to it without putting the blame on them, just being aware of what you feel. That's how you start to lower that. And remain open to going, you know what, I'm going to step into it. And if that emotional pain threshold hits a new level, I'm out of it. Set it lower. Set your standard. This is what I would love to feel in an interaction. And any time that you do not feel that in the interaction, first, claim it. So when you did this, I believed this, and so I felt that. Ready? We're going to go that formula again. When I believed, or I believe, and then I feel. The belief is what brings it into ownership and takes it out of blame. I believe this, and then I act upon that belief. If you do that, then you're lowering your pain threshold and you start teaching people what that threshold is. If they don't honor it, get the shiz out of there. You don't have to be around. You do not have to be tough enough to deal with and survive abuse. How about we take off that badge of honor? I know how to be mistreated better than you know how to be mistreated. How stupid is that? Oh, I can only say that because I've totally been there. Totally been there. I know how to be mistreated and still love you. How about I know what mistreatment feels like and I still love me? Can we change that around? Let's say that together. I'm willing to feel what mistreatment feels like and love me. We're going to do that one more time. Everybody just take a deep breath. I am willing to feel what mistreatment feels like and still love me. I give myself consent and permission to not experience a pain threshold that's higher than I want. I give myself permission to take care of myself, show up for myself, protect myself from abuse. I have permission to, when there hasn't been consent and I'm not in agreement, to say no. I have permission for when there hasn't been consent and I say yes, that I say yes. Like, maybe there's just this handhold that just kind of comes in. Can you imagine if you were to say, hey, I like holding your hand. Next time, could you ask me if I want to? I would really appreciate that. Oh my gosh, how cool would that be? Hey, I really like this feeling. Next time, would you ask me? That would feel really good to me. I would feel very safe that way. How about having that conversation? Hey, how to make me emotionally safe in your presence? Ask me what I would love and what I don't love. Ask me if things are okay or if they're not okay. Ta-da! Abuse can stop, especially unintentional abuse. You know, the 20-something-year-old, I think, I don't even know how old, who was the abuser in this situation, who crossed the lines, completely unintentional, because he was totally acting out of what romantic relationships look like on film. This is also one of the biggest reasons why porn is so bad and negative, because it's perpetuating non-consent. It's just like, hey, baby, and then, girl, this is what I do because this is what I'm supposed to do. And I'm supposed to enjoy it. That is not consent. Not consent. So, that's it. If this video was helpful to you, please share it. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great day.